Joe, good to see how you doing. Evening, how you been? Comatose, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? Good evening, JP. Good to see you. How you doing? How you been? How's things, brother? So, by the time everyone tunes in, let's do a breakdown of what we're going to go through on tonight's live. Mixture of news to talk about on tonight's live. Dennis, good to see you. How you doing? Hi, Miles of CMF. On tonight's episode of CMF Live, episode 195, which is absolutely amazing. So on episode 195 of the CMF Live, we're going to be talking about BlackRock. We're going to be talking about BlackRock and Bitcoin ETFs. We're also going to be going through the news topic on tonight's live regarding micro factors on Canada and the US that are going to be playing good in terms of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. We're also going to be talking about Coinbase uncovering the because Coinbase did decide to sue essentially that overlooks all the committee that overlooks all the banks. So we're going to go through that on tonight's live, as also documentations were revealed. We're also going to be talking about on tonight's live regarding Solana. Apparently Solana is attracting quite a lot of quite a lot of investments due to the US elections and the institutional approach that's happening right now. We're also going to talk about Iran and Israel on tonight's live as well, because Iran and Israel are going to have some implications on the crypto side, on the market side, in other words. So if Iran has decided to go into a full-blown war, which they have by now, and that's going to have some implications on the market space. So we're going to go through that on tonight's live as well. We're also going to be talking about the Bank of International Settlements on tonight's live regarding exiting in some sort of a way on the mBridge situation that we covered once on this live regarding mBridge a few nights ago on the Bank of International Settlements, thinking about leaving mBridge and so on. It has been officially announced that they are exiting, but not in a way that you think it is. We're also going to talk about Stellar on tonight's live as well. XLM is a crypto project, which is absolutely amazing, which we rarely cover on this live as well. So we're going to talk about that on tonight's live also. We're also going to talk about SafePal on tonight's live as well, mainly because SafePal and Telegram are coming together for the banking sector, which is absolutely amazing for Telegram's TON ecosystem project. We're also going to talk about Ripple on tonight's live as well, regarding Ripple on XRP institutional interest and how it's staying very high due to the ETFs that are happening. So a mixture of news to talk about on tonight's live regarding Ripple essentially on XRP institutional interest for their ETF space. We're also going to talk about essentially Telegram on tonight's live, the BRIC situation on tonight's live, XLM on tonight's live. Also, the war situation between Iran and Israel is spewing up once again, which is going to have implications in the market space. So mixture of news to go through on tonight's live. But before we go for any of those, just want to say to everyone watching this right now, welcome to the CMF Live. If you're watching this for the first time ever, this is episode 195 of the CMF Live, where I cover the most recent news happening around the world in terms of cryptocurrencies, CBDCs, AI, politics, regulations, vital information for you to know about regarding the world completely transforming into a digital space. And the disclaimer of this live, as always, is not financial advice, not political advice, and whatever I say is only for entertainment purposes. So if you watch this for the first time ever, welcome to the CMF Live, and if you watch this as a regular, let's go CMF. Also want to say thank you so much to everyone that's retweeting this live right now, who's liking this live as well right now, and also everyone that's watching on YouTube who's liking this live as well. Now, before we go for the first news on tonight's live, which is regarding BlackRock and Bitcoin ETFs, let's go inside the comment section first, and then we go straight for the first news. So, where were we? Dennis. Dennis, good to see you as well. How you doing? Free and Forever. Good evening, Miles and CMF. Good to see you as well, Dennis. How you doing? Good to see you as well, Free and Forever. How you doing? Hi, Miles. Pablo, good to see you as well. How you doing? Camel, good to see you as well, brother. How you doing? Mike, good evening, Miles and CMF. Good to see you as well, Mike. How you doing? Good evening, Miles and family. Hope it was well. Ian, good to see you as well. How you doing? Manny, good evening. Good to see you as well. How you doing? So, first news on tonight's live is regarding BlackRock. For the first time in months, BlackRock has had pretty much zero money coming in. BlackRock's Bitcoin ETF hits zero inflows amid pre-election market jitters. Even though Wall Street has essentially said that they're pricing in a Trump win and that Bitcoin could reach new heights, apparently this is what's happened. The BlackRock Bitcoin ETF IBIT, a major player in Bitcoin's focused exchange, essentially traded funds, saw a halt in the inflows of their US presidential elections. This marks the first time in nearly months that IBIT ETF recorded zero inflows, signaling a potential pause in demand. Across all US spot Bitcoin ETFs, total outflows reached $54.9 million, suggesting that a shifting election odds may affect the market space. The timing is on the outflows is just days before the election. It points to a more cautious approach by investors. And the pause in Bitcoin ETF inflows comes after a period of consistent gains that were happening on the Bitcoin ETF space. BlackRock's IBIT alone saw around $2.2 billion in inflows earlier this week, leading to a pack among Bitcoin ETFs and other major ETFs, such as those who managed by Fidelity and ARK Invest, reported significant outflows also. According to Farsight investor data, Fidelity saw $25.6 million in outflows, while ARK Invest registered $24.1 million. These withdrawals follow a record-breaking October, during which spot Bitcoin ETFs collectively increased their Bitcoin holdings to over 5% of their total BTC supply, essentially surpassing 1 million in Bitcoin. BlackRock's IBIT alone holds about 2% of the total supply, illustrating the dominant role it has inside the market space. And the shift in Bitcoin ETF inflows aligns with the changing US election dynamics that's going on right now. And according to the Polymarket data, Donald Trump's predicted odds of the victory fell by 4.5 percentage points, placing his chances at 58.1%, while Kamala Harris's odds rose by 41.9%. And Harris has gained a ground in essentially critical swing states, adding uncertainty to the entire race. This shift influences investor sentiments as some participants hold back until elections results provide clearer market guidance. These developments saw Bitcoin's price fell below $70,000 after hitting nearly essentially $73,000 early this week. And market watchers said that the analysis of Bitcoin's performance in the coming days may be impacted by essentially election-related news. The broader cryptocurrency market is also slowing down. Meanwhile, Ethereum, the second largest cryptocurrency by market cap, dipped to $2,500 as buying interest warned. And according to analysis, restoring upward momentum in Bitcoin and other major digital assets will depend on essentially the flows of ETFs. Stablecoins alone may need more buy-side liquidity, as the current price of BTC to stablecoin ratio is similar to previous peaks. So as we've been discussing on the slide for the past few nights regarding things might just tip the other way, and how, essentially I weighed out two outcomes. One outcome is somehow it's rigged and essentially Kamala Harris wins. And the other outcome was that if Trump wins, they'll probably collapse the economy on top of his head and make him look, straight away from the hero to the villain. This is even just to point out, even though Wall Street has priced in essentially Trump winning, but because the odds slightly twisted in other favors, it seems like Wall Street might be starting to slow down on their buying purchase. But it is only one day that there's pretty much no inflows whatsoever, which is odd because it was back-to-back inflows and it suddenly stops on one particular day. Now, it also could be because it's the weekend and the market for the ETF space is basically, working hours. They say market working hours. It's not like the crypto market that's 24 hours, but still slightly odd. Now, moving away essentially from the market situation, and they are saying that they're thinking essentially it could go the other way. It could be Kamala Harris that might win this presidential election, which is why the markets are slowing down. Also, another situation that's going on right now is what essentially we're going to get into on tonight's live as well, is regarding Iran and Israel. And the geopolitical tensions are on high rise right now. Even the US is getting involved because Iran threatened not just Israel, but Iran threatened also the United States, which is not good. Now, before we go into the next news, which is regarding the microfractors in Canada and the US and for the good of Bitcoin, before we go for the next news, let's go inside the comment section first, and then we'll go straight to the next news. Let's see what's going on in there first. Greetings, Miles and CMF. Lena, good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been? Good night, Miles and Crypto Family. Good to see you as well. William, how you doing? How you been? Hello to my CMF on YouTube. Help share the live. Miles gets in the zone. Let's go, Miles. Scott, good to see you as well, brother. How you doing? Evening, Miles and CMF peeps. Semper, good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been? What you think about GameStop? The issue is GameStop, when it was trying to rise in value previously, the stock market did try to halt essentially from it rising in any sort of value. So it's an asset that can be easily manipulated, such as similar to crypto essentially, but it's an asset that can be very very easily manipulated. Good evening, Brother Miles, and the rest of the hopefuls. Good to see you as well, Kerry. How you doing? Have I missed anything? Have I missed? No, we just went through essentially Bitcoin regarding BTC and BlackRock and how the inflows have slowed down on one particular day only. Now, moving away from essentially BlackRock's halt to the micro factors that's playing out. Micro factors in Canada and the US, good for Bitcoin price. So on one side, we have maybe Wall Street deciding to slow down. On the other side, we have this coming out. Bitcoin recently did hit its near its all-time highs, but it also went over 100,000 Canadian dollars. Dean Shorker, the president and CEO of WonderFi, did essentially a one-on-one interview talking about cryptocurrencies, the Canadian market space, and the American market space. A digital financial services company believes interest rate cuts in Canada and the United States, as well as the upcoming 2024 US presidential elections, will continue to drive the price of Bitcoin higher between the next 6 to 24 months. So there is one side, Wall Street, essentially slowing down, but then there's the other side, the CEOs are coming on doing one-on-one interviews talking about if we do get the rate cuts in time, we could see the market swing in the other way. But also Trump wins the election, which is the most important part. In an interview with Cointelegraph, Dean explained that the Bank of Canada's recent decisions to slash their interest rates by 50 basis points and the US Federal Reserve's ongoing rate essentially cut programs, which began in September 2024, would encourage retail and institutional investors to enter the markets or to add to already existing positions. He also told Cointelegraph that these rate cuts were not unique and reflected a growing global shift in monetary policies. He went on to say, as the rest of the world continues to enter into lower interest rates and environments as well, that is going to create a really compelling opportunity for digital assets and ecosystem to expand and recapture the retail excitement. The WonderFi CEO clarified that the signal of cuts and the idea that rates are not going to go higher were enough to make investors optimistic in the short term before political injections from reduced rates in the market space, which typically takes between 6 to 18 months after the cuts are essentially announced. He also went on to say, and he highlighted the upcoming 2024 US presidential elections. In a major catalyst for Bitcoin's price, the CEO noted that the crypto industry believes a Trump presidency will be better for crypto, which it will be, essentially absolutely facts. And a potential Kamala Harris win will likely cause a short-term price shock, which it will as well. If Trump wins, market goes higher. Essentially, if Kamala loses, then if Trump wins, then the market goes higher. That's guaranteed. Everyone's going to be very excited if Trump wins because the market and the economy starts getting better. So it will react in a positive way, which is why Wall Street is happy in that scenario. However, if Kamala Harris wins, then obviously the markets are going to be in shock and we're going to go slightly down, not drastically drop into the ground, but we'll go down and do a 360 and eventually come back up. However, the CEO also argued that the long-term price of Bitcoin will go up regardless of who wins the 2024 presidential elections eventually, and expect the regulatory climate inside the US to shift following the November elections due to political pressures from industry advocates and groups. The net result of all these lobbying efforts should be more positive and friendly environments on the other side of the elections, regardless of who wins. So the CEO of this company is suggesting from Canada that it doesn't matter essentially who wins in the long term because the lobbying that's going on, all the politicians that are receiving crypto donations should start working on policies even if whoever is chosen as next president. According to WonderFi's CEO, these catalysts, along with significant essentially Bitcoin ETF inflows, would suggest a strong and sustained institutional interest and create a very positive step up for Bitcoin over the next several years and cryptocurrencies, which is not, it's true up to a certain extent, depending on if we're looking at the long-term perspective, sure. There's a lot of politicians that are being paid off, or should we say donations, that will most likely bring in some crypto regulations and policies for the positive side. But if we're looking for the short term and the long term, Trump will obviously be a better scenario. Wall Street is excited on that scenario if Trump become president. That is why they've been buying all this time. But now, because of that 4-point ratio situation happening with poly market, and that Kamala raised about Trump's essentially position dropped by 4% on poly market, while as Kamala's position raised a little bit in value, which is why essentially the Bitcoin ETF space had zero inflows after having weeks and months upon having massive inflows coming in. Now, what we're going to talk about next is Coinbase. Coinbase, I've revealed, has multiple cases going on with the SEC. Coinbase has their original case going on with the SEC. They had one case dismissed with the SEC regarding Coinbase wallet. And they have another case that they started up on themselves, which was Coinbase essentially going after the FDIC. Now, the FDIC is a committee that essentially overlooks all the banks inside the United States and gives the banks an order on what to do next. And Coinbase did sue the SEC and the FDIC to provide them with any sort of notes or letters or any sort of evidence that, of them stifling progress inside the United States. And the judge essentially pushed onto the FDIC to release some documentations, something that they might have said to the banks to slow them down on crypto adoptions. It turns out Coinbase was right. Coinbase uncovers the FDIC pause letters in fight for crypto clarity. Coinbase Global Inc. has escalated its pursuits of clarity within the US regulators, especially the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, FDIC, in its efforts for transparency in cryptocurrency regulations. The company recently reported that the FDIC started essentially disclosing information as a part of Coinbase's Freedom of Information Act, the FOIA, request for making a shift in the regulatory agency's previous stance. As per Coinbase's CLO Paul, this provides information on how the agency has restricted banking for crypto firms. One of the reasons, there are multiple reasons inside the United States, essentially on the basis of why crypto firms struggled inside the United States, and most of them decided to leave the United States behind and go to countries like the United Arab Emirates. One of them was also because they couldn't get banking accounts. They couldn't, as a crypto company, they couldn't have any sort of access to banking. Now, that might just seem a bit rigged, because it was. Apparently, the FDIC sent 20 letters to all American banks to not work with crypto companies. Now, I just want to point out, that's not a law. There's no law inside of the United States that states crypto companies are not allowed to work with banks. There's no law whatsoever. But 20 letters were sent by the FDIC to all these American banks telling them specifically not to work with crypto firms, which is manipulation, is what it is, which essentially shows that the regulators conceals the information that could explain its position on cryptocurrencies. Coinbase supports clarifying the legal frameworks for industries inside the United States, stating that such standards should coincide with the current legislations. Coinbase's legal battle with regulatory authorities began in June when the company filed an FOIA lawsuit against the FDIC and the Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC. Coinbase is also requesting some documentations from the SEC. The exchange sought to uncover documents, especially pause letters, which allegedly instructed banks to cease and providing services to cryptocurrency businesses. These letters, which Coinbase linked to Operation Choke Point 2.0, underscores the company's claim that the US financial regulators have used multiple strategies to curb the digital asset industry, access to traditional financial services. Paul from Coinbase, the CLO of Coinbase, stated that Coinbase has received over 20 such letters from the FDIC, which includes derivatives urging banks to halt, pause, or avoid offering crypto banking services. There is, again, no law whatsoever. There's no law inside the United States that says banks can't essentially get involved in crypto space. But they did create the SAB 121 Act. The SEC did create the SAB 121 Act, which essentially says that cryptocurrencies have to be held as liabilities on bank balance sheets, which no bank wanted to do, which also banks essentially went against it. And then the Biden administration, which is Kamala Harris, decided to veto and, go side by side with Gary Gensler against Congress. But other than that, there's no laws technically inside the United States that's stopping banks to get involved inside the crypto space, that's stopping banks from essentially partnering up with crypto companies. There's no laws against them doing any of those things or providing banking services to crypto companies. There's no law stopping them. However, the FDIC was stopping them by trying to send them letters on what not to do and what to do. Pure manipulation. The company's discovery, essentially, The 20 such letters from the FDIC, which included directives urging directors and essentially urging their banks to halt, pause, or avoid offering crypto banking services to any crypto companies. According to Coinbase, these findings indicate a coordinated approach to restricting access to financial services for crypto-focused firms. The company's discovery has fueled further calls for transparency within regulatory frameworks, especially concerning the cryptocurrency sector's compliance with established financial standards, which is true, because the SEC keeps on going around and saying the crypto companies are not being transparent. Well, apparently neither is the banking system. Coinbase has criticized the SEC and the FDIC's regulatory actions, essentially accusing the agencies of manipulating, essentially, and targeting crypto firms. Recently, Coinbase filed an additional FOIA requesting with the FTC seeking documents on potential restrictions of the volume of digital assets held by depository institutions. The exchange has also pursued related lawsuits to compel the SEC and the FDIC to clarify their regulatory stance on cryptocurrencies. Coinbase legal actions against the SEC and FDIC have broader, essentially, implications for the digital asset sector. In its FOIA lawsuit, Coinbase has argued that regulatory agencies that operate under essential bureaucracy, essentially curtains, undermining transparency and inhibiting the crypto sector's potential within the US financial systems. Coinbase believes the consistent withholding of information and regulatory pressure on banks to serve ties with crypto clients stifles the industry's ability to thrive. The Blockchain Association, an industry group advocating for crypto interests, recently reported substantial financial burdens on crypto companies due to SEC's approach under Gary Gensler. So we have Gary Gensler essentially stifling the crypto community inside the crypto companies inside the United States. We have Gary Gensler doing that. We have Senator Elizabeth Warren going on the news every second she gets a chance and in front of Congress to say cryptocurrencies are only being used by criminals. We have the FDIC inside the United States also sending 20 letters to all banks inside the United States, telling them to avoid crypto companies, don't provide them with banking services, and that if you want to hold cryptocurrencies, you have to go through us first and hold it as liabilities on your balance sheets. It just shows the level of corruption and manipulation that's been happening behind the scenes in the banking space for crypto companies. And the SEC goes around and tells everybody how they're trying to look after everyone and how they're doing it for essentially for everybody's best interest. And they care about the crypto space and they care about the retail section. And they also care about transparency. Gary Gensler has tweeted out multiple times that he cares about transparency, yet Gary Gensler was not so transparent with this regarding stifling banks or with them providing what the essentially Coinbase has requested from them. Under the Freedom Act, Coinbase has essentially the same way they asked the FDIC to provide what they said to the banks, they also said to the SEC, provide also what you have said behind closed doors, which Gary Gensler has rejected to. But Gary Gensler is the same man that says transparency, transparency, transparency. He's also tweeted multiple times about transparency, ironically. Now, moving away from the manipulation and corruption in the banking sector, which has been now proven by Coinbase, so well done Coinbase to that movement, to Solana is what we're going to talk about next, a crypto project we rarely talk about on this live. But before we go through that, let's go inside the comment section first. Once again, this is a live, which means if you do have any comments, put them down in the comment section. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions you may have. Let's go inside the comment section first, and then we go straight into that. The next news. Didn't Trump write a book? I think so. Have I missed any? I don't know already. I honestly thought near the elections, cryptocurrencies would take off. Same, but we've also got to consider multiple factors. I did say coming up to the elections that these scenarios can happen. And I also said to everybody that two things can happen that will make the market drop. If anyone remembers, all my lives, as always, are recorded and posted automatically without any sort of edits. And I said multiple times, two things can bring this market down. I said, one is if Kamala is on the victory chance, if the crypto markets will crash. I said two, up to a certain extent, will crash and come back up. I said two, geopolitical tensions. I said two, geopolitical tensions can bring the market down, which right now we have a very manipulated election going on, very corrupt election going on. We also have massive geopolitical tensions rising in the Middle East. Massive. But those are two things I've said multiple times that can bring this market down. So consider those as outcomes. Always consider multiple outcomes. Exactly what I said before. If Kamala wins, it's only a short-term drop. Retail is too dramatic. Good evening, Miles and CMF. Good to see you as well, Orphan. How you doing? Those donations Kamala is receiving, it's not all used up in her campaign for the presidency. She does get to keep it up to a certain extent. No, it has to be used. The majority of it has to be used for the campaign. It's not the type of money she can walk away with. Hi, Miles of CMF. George, good to see you as well. How you doing? But knowing, I mean, Kamala Harris has been paying celebrities left, right, and center, so she probably has no money left in that campaign. Brad said in one interview that he was debanked from a bank that was a customer for over 25 years just because he is a CEO of a crypto industry. It is true, Brad, Ripple's CEO, was essentially a bank member from Citigroup. So Citibank essentially debanked Brad, who's the CEO of Ripple. And what's odd is that Citigroup has been involved in multiple illicit activities. But having a CEO of a crypto company apparently is where they draw the line. I'm sorry, I'm a bit late on. I hope I've missed too much. Good to see you. Adi, how you doing? You so perfect timing in. Any thoughts on XR? Any thoughts on XPR? Not XRP, but XPR. No thoughts on XPR because I don't know what their recent movements are. To be fairly honest. Peg, good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been? But no thoughts on XPR. I don't know what their recent movements are. To be fairly honest, Scott, to give you a better perspective on it. Now, Solana, which is a crypto asset we rarely talk about. Solana is attracting investors as US election approaches. So Solana is seeking a rise in investor interest as the US presidential elections get closer with the market volatility up. Solana recently essentially broke through its $160 resistance, reaching $175 despite a recent dip. Election-driven liquidities continue to grow, and Solana seems ready for more growth as investors seek stable assets. Apparently, a lot of investors are running towards Solana because they see Solana as a stable asset to be hedging against any sort of scenarios, which is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. And the past US elections have shown a pattern of market impacts. With Bitcoin reaching new highs after previous elections, many investors expect Solana to mirror this trend, especially if its stability holds through election seasons. Demands for top crypto signals a growing interest in the secure, essentially options for time of uncertainty. Previously, US elections have affected the crypto market space. And in 2020, BTC rose rapidly, reaching over $40,000. This trend has raised hopes that Solana might perform similarly after the elections. So a lot of investors are running towards Solana because they believe after the elections, Solana is going to be reaching new heights and following Bitcoin's footsteps. And it's going to be performing similarly. Solana's growth, though, goes beyond elections as it's expanding its ecosystem and attracts consistent interest. It's true. Solana is the king of meme coins, pretty much. Other than that, that's it. Crypto enthusiast Arthur Hayes also endorsed Solana as well. So Arthur Hayes recently shifted his focus to Solana from Bitcoin, saying he saw it as a strong option on predictable markets. Solana's meme coin sector is also gaining attention and has outpaced Bitcoin, with endorsements from figures like Elon Musk boosting interest. Additional Donald Trump's pro-crypto views have increased buying pressure on Solana as well. There's a lot of Donald Trump and Kamala Harris meme coins on Solana that are doing quite well for themselves. His campaign is inspiring confidence among supporters, and some traders expect gains if his policies favor crypto after the elections. Large investors are showing high interest in Solana, reflecting their faith in its potential. Solana's network leads in transaction volumes and activities, often rivaling bigger cryptocurrencies. Besides, Solana's high-speed connection handles thousands of transactions each second and crashes pretty much 11 times, which attracts users focused on speed, especially in DeFi and NFTs. As Solana's popularity rises, it stands out as a valuable choice for both retail and institutional investors. The ecosystem around the token is also essentially expanding incredibly fast. With more meme coins boosting its appeal, the growth shows how investors are diversifying to find stable assets with growth and potential. With election near, Solana's interest stays strong, driven by its competitive features and market perspectives. So, as we're getting closer and closer to the election times, it seems like a lot of people are flocking towards Solana because they see Solana as the best choice going into a world with regulations and policies and banks and institutions, they're seeing Solana as the perfect choice. Solana is the perfect choice if you're inside of meme coins, which not a single institution is. Solana does have venture capital money, and Solana is not a bad project either. It's a great project. It can have a lot of prospering future for itself. But it needs to get a better name than King of Meme Coins. But there's not a single institution lining up to buy Camel token, Frog token, Cat token, as I've said many times. So I don't know if Solana is going to be the best choice, but Solana is going to do well, is what I would say. Solana will also do well if we do get some regulations and policies coming in, because Solana is also being slightly affected by this whole security category. Solana is being considered as a security inside a Coinbase case, and also the Kraken case, and a few other cases, Solana is being considered to be a security project. So obviously, if we do get the right president in and the right regulations and policies in, which is going to be Trump and the policies and so on, then we'll obviously get those cases dropped, because we're going to have a new chairman of the SEC, which means Solana also won't be considered security like any other crypto asset, which is going to be good in their favor. So it is a good asset if you want to go towards it in research and so on, but I wouldn't say it's the perfect choice for institutions, banks, and regulators and policies. No way in hell. There are much more other better crypto projects out there in terms of banks, institutions, and policies coming in. Now, but good for anybody holding Solana. A lot of people in the retail section believe it's the chosen project. Now, what we're going to talk about, moving away from Solana and the retail section of who's going into Solana, to Iran is what we're going to talk about. Iran versus Israel, or Israel versus Iran, either way. What's happened is that for the longest time, Iran essentially has, you know what, before I say that, let's consider the comment section first. Let's consider the comment section, and then I go straight into the Iran-Israel situation, because it's going to affect the market space badly, depending on how long this war will go on for. So let's consider the comment section first. Let's see where we were at. Hi, Miles. No, I already saw you. We were here. Okay, Miles with Ripple putting 470 million in XRP up for sale. In this case, Kamala wins, so they can send it to the market and cross-border payments. They can if they wanted to, yes. But any donations Kamala or Trump have received in cryptocurrencies have been turned into stablecoins. So keep that in mind as well. There is a lot of hypes on Solana right just before AVAX as a blockchain. Same, AVAX is 10 times better, and they don't crash either. Now, Iran versus Israel, or Israel versus Iran. Okay, geopolitical tensions are on the rise. So 2 nights ago on this live, I told everybody that Israel's sources said that Iran is getting ready for retaliation on the missile strikes that happened in Iran from Israel's side. That's only because Iran retaliated twice towards Israel as well, but putting that to one side. So Israeli sources did claim that Iran is going to be attacking Israel close to the US election date, which is around the 5th, which we're not far off. I mean, today is the 3rd. Today, it was confirmed by the supreme leader of Iran, Ali Khamenei, that essentially they're going to be retaliating towards Israel. It was confirmed by this man. And why this is important? Because this man has never confirmed this war, just to point it out. The supreme leader of Iran has never confirmed the Israel and Iran war. He's always shown hatred towards Israel, but he's never confirmed the war that's been going on between them. He's always said, essentially, he's downplayed everything. Ali Khamenei, the man in charge of Iran, has always downplayed the whole Israel and Iran situation. So it's not a big deal. Today, however, he changed his mind and he said this is a full-blown war now. And there is a lot of brainwashed people in Iran, incredibly amount of brainwashed people in Iran, who take this man's word as gospel. Everybody in Iran who wanted to attack Israel in some sort of a war, essentially, situation, were waiting for this man to give the green light. This is the man that gives the green light in Iran for a full-blown war to happen. And he just did. So that means that the Iran versus Israel war is confirmed now, which means this war is going to be happening. Now, the timeline of the war is what's been suggested is around election time. So it's going to be around the 5th. It could be a little bit past the 5th and so on. But what I am saying is this is going to cause market turbulence inside the crypto market, the stock market. Everything's just going to be coming slightly down. Depending on how drastic the war is, it could be a drastic drop or it could be a small drop. If it's going to be just missile retaliations for now until it just, essentially goes into a full-blown war. But what is confirmed is being green lighted now. And Iran said their next attack is not going to be coming directly from Iran. It's going to be coming from Iraq, or it's going to be coming from Syria or Lebanon. That's going to be doing the dirty work for Iran, as always. But there was a lot of people in Iran who are extremely brainwashed in Iran, who are just waiting for this man to give the green light, and he has now. Not only that, Ali Khamenei did not just say that he's going to be essentially starting a war with Israel. He also mentioned that he's going to be essentially doing some retaliation attacks on the US as well. There's a lot of US bases, even though Kamala Harris keeps on saying, or in her famous speech, Kamala Harris, in her famous speech, when she was doing debate with Donald Trump, she claimed there's no more US bases around the world and that all our soldiers are back home, which is a complete load of BS. There are US bases, UK bases, Iran bases, Russian bases. They're everywhere in every country. And Iran also did say that they're going to be maybe on the verge of doing some sort of attacks on US bases as well. So it's not just Iran essentially doing a retaliation on Israel. Iran is also going to be doing some sort of maneuvering on US bases, which definitely should start some sort of a full-blown war if that happens as well, because they're not just going against Israel, they're also going to go against the US now. So this is essentially what Israel wanted as well. This is what essentially Israel wanted. They wanted a full-blown war with Iran, because this is how they're going to replace the regime in Iran and completely remove the regime of Iran. They wanted a full-blown war from Iran. But Iran would never give them a full-blown war, because the Iranian regime knows. The Iranian regime knows that that Israel wants to replace them. That's why they never give it a green light until now. The man in charge of Iran, the one guy, the one person the Iranian government listens to, just green lighted this war. So this is the operation that they were waiting for, to remove the Iranian regime and bring in Reza Pahlavi II. The king of Iran is going to be returning if this war actually happens, which has been confirmed now for one side. One side has confirmed this. So this is what I wanted. I wanted this to happen. I wanted the Iranian government to be removed. I wanted the Iranian government to be moved, to be replaced by the king of Iran. It's happening now. Finally, there are actually people in Iran that want this war to happen. Not because they're in favor of the Iranian government, but because they're in favor of a change, to remove the Iranian regime. This is what this war is about, control of the Middle East. Now, that's going to be causing turbulence on the market space, because it's been confirmed now. It's no longer, back and forward. It's been confirmed on one side. Now, so this is what it is. Iran's supreme leader pledges crushing response. Pentagon blusters Middle East presence. Iran's supreme leader on Saturday threatened Israel, essentially, and the United States with a crushing response following recent attacks on Iran and its allies. And I saw this on the Iranian news channels as well, and the English news channels. In the latest signal that essentially, in the response of following recent attacks on Iran and its allies, in the latest signal that month-long cycle of attacks and counterbacks between Israel and Iran could continue. Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, speaking at an event, said the United States and Israel will definitely receive a crushing response to what they are doing to Iran and the Iranian nation and to the resistant front. Iran and Israel have long waged a shadow war in the Middle East, but hostilities between the two countries have essentially deepened since the H attack situation on Israel's soil on October 7th, 2023. High-ranking Iranian officials have said Iran intends to essentially respond to an Israeli strike last month that targeted its military sites. According to the state media, the Iran state media, but the details and the timing of such responses are not clear. But what is suggested by essentially Israeli sources is going to be around election times, US election times. A person close to Israel's leaders who was briefed on the situation and spoke on the conditions of anonymity to discuss sensitive matters, said that the intelligence suggests that Iran is preparing an attack on Israel in the coming days. Iranian officials have sought to downplay last week's Israeli airstrikes on Iran, saying that it caused little damage. However, the strikes damaged 2 air defense installations and at least 3 sites associated with missile production in Iran. The missiles that happened, that essentially the missiles that Israel sent to Iran, they were sent to coordinated targets. And those coordinated targets worked because they all hit missile factories in Iran. The Pentagon also announced that it is sending more US ballistic missiles and defense destroyers, fighter squadrons, and tanker aircrafts, and the B-52 long-range strike, essentially bombers, to the Middle East. So this is actually spewing into a full-blown war when the US is sending their B-52 and more missiles and more of everything. And the US, the Pentagon basically said, should Iran, its partners, or its proxies use this moment to target any American personnel or interest in the region, the United States will take every measure necessary to defend our people, the Pentagon said in an official statement. So this is going to be a full-blown war, and it's actually going to be happening now. And it's going to be in the coming days. So it's going to be Iran versus Israel versus the United States, by the looks of it. So Operation Remove the Regime is in progress. Remove the regime of Iran. But all of this is going to be causing turbulence on the market space for a time period until the market does a 360. So the market is going to be quite volatile during this war season. The stock market, the crypto market, any sort of market space is going to become volatile. Gold is going to go up in value. The US dollars is going to become strengthened because it's a reserve asset. Bitcoin should be a risk-off asset in the same category as gold. But unfortunately, Bitcoin will also become volatile in this moment of time as well, if this essentially happens in the coming days. So consider that as an outcome, that this is a full-blown war that's going to be happening. Consider it as an outcome in the coming days. If you see the markets become volatile, you know why. Let's go to the comment section. There's a lot. Bro, shout out Canada. Just read your comment. So there we go. I shout out Canada. I'm sorry to say, but Miles knows to some people when this man speaks, it's like God spoke. Yeah. The man in charge of Iran, the leader of Iran, not the president. The president of Iran is a nobody. It's the man that's in charge of Iran, Ali Khamenei. When he speaks, it's like gospel. So this man gave the green light to every Iranian soldier. It's game on. So now, officially, now the war has started between Iran and Israel. Because before he was downplaying it. He was saying it's not a full-blown war. We're just doing some back-end maneuver and retaliation attacks. Now he's given the green light. And everybody, any brainwashed soldier in Iran takes this man's word, like as, essentially Kamal put it, like this man is God in Iran. And this man, his days are very numbered. The Iranian regime, this is pretty much game over for the Iranian regime. Which means the Reza Pahlavi can return. USA will murk Iran. Well, obviously, the US is a lot more powerful than the Iranian military. That's just basic common sense at this point. Some people control Iraq now, and I wish for a change. Yeah, Iran controls a lot of Iraq, actually, which is very wrong. But, obviously, if they remove the Iranian regime, even Iraq will be sorted. The entire Middle East will be fixed. I have friends still stationed abroad serving in the military. It's true. There's a lot. But according to Kamala Harris, essentially, it's there's no stations, there's no US bases around the world according to Kamala Harris, but of course there is. His days are numbered. Miles, truth, yes, facts, because this man just essentially even sent out warnings to the US where the Pentagon had to give a response to, and said if you attack any sort of US bases, it's pretty much game over for you. So there's a lot of high tension right now in the market space. If you're seeing the crypto markets be slightly red or quite volatile, it's because of this. The war has been green lighted now. But also it's going to be causing a lot of sales on the crypto space as well. So if you ever wanted to catch that, crypto project at the perfect time because of this war, you probably will. You'll probably be able to catch all the crypto prices you wanted at the perfect price. Now, Bank of International Settlements is what we're going to talk about next. So moving away from the Iraq and war situation, Iran versus Israel versus the United States. to the Bank of International Settlements. So the Bank of International Settlements, I've talked about multiple times on this live, and recently they talked about how they want to leave behind the mBridge, the CBDC mBridge project, which a lot of people were essentially spreading misinformation that they're moving away from it and that's the end of mBridge and so on. Well, we have some more updates on that matter from the Bank of International Settlements. The Bank of International Settlements cuts ties with controversial CBDC project mBridge, but not in the way you think. So the Bank of International Settlements announced its departure from Project mBridge, a central bank digital currency CBDC initiative developed in partnership with the People's Bank of China and the central banks of Hong Kong, Thailand, and Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates. The project, designed to simplify cross-border payments through CBDCs, has raised concerns over potential misuse by certain nations to evade international sanctions, according to recent news from Bloomberg. But the Bank of International Settlements general manager, who was asked multiple times, essentially, are you leaving this project and so on, which he responded with, we're not leaving sanctioned projects, and this is not a sanctioned project. He responded with, mBridge is not a sanctioned project, and so on. Now, his speeches emphasizing that the decision to leave was not politically driven. So Augustine essentially categorized the exit as a graduation. So here is essentially where you get the response. The Bank of International Settlements is not leaving mBridge behind. And they're not going to be essentially dropping it entirely. And they're not dropping it because it's a sanctioned project. The Bank of International Settlements, here's the key word, have said that mBridge is at its graduation. What does that tell you about mBridge? That means that mBridge is ready. If the Bank of International Settlements is saying that the reason why we're not going to be working on mBridge anymore is because mBridge, in their words, and the general manager's words of the Bank of International Settlements, in his words, mBridge is graduating, which means mBridge is ready, indicating that Project mBridge has reached a level of maturity where the Bank of International Settlements' involvement was no longer essential. He said, we have contributed 4 years to this effort, and it has matured to a point where our partners can sustain it independently. Augustine also added that the Bank of International Settlements often steps back from initiatives once they achieve their operational stability. That means if mBridge is ready, that means BRICS is ready. However, recent political developments have also added layers of complexities to the Bank of International Settlements departure, which is a complete load of BS. mBridge is ready, BRICS is ready. In an address last month, Russian President Vladimir Putin mentioned that Project mBridge underlying technology as a potential tool for essentially Western financial sanctions, raising their essentially global concerns of the platform's usage. While Putin's remarks didn't specify intentions, they fueled speculation that mBridge could serve as a pathway for BRICS nations to bypass the dollar-based restrictions in international trade. So here's what's going to be happening. Russia was never a part of mBridge because Russia is a sanctioned country. Now, China is not technically sanctioned, and neither is the rest of the BRICS countries. So, if the Bank of International Settlements is stepping aside from essentially mBridge, they're stepping aside because in their words, in the words of Bank of International Settlements general manager, mBridge has graduated, is what they said. They never said we're leaving it behind because of sanctions or we're leaving it behind because it's a dead project. They said we're stepping aside because mBridge, in their words, has graduated. Now, because they're stepping aside, it means that Russia can now join mBridge officially. So you're going to be hearing the announcement somewhere down the road that Russia is now a part of mBridge. On paper, we all know that Russia is a part of mBridge, but on paper is what I'm trying to say, because Russia is a sanctioned country. And the Bank of International Settlements is sidestepping because mBridge graduated, which means now Russia can officially be a part of it on paper. While Putin's remarks didn't specify intentions, they fueled speculation that mBridge could serve as a pathway for BRICS nations to bypass the dollar-based restrictions and international trade. It's a coordinated move. The Bank of International Settlements global organization fostering international monetary and financial cooperation remains dedicated to compliance with international standards and has sought to distance itself from any association with sanctioned violations. Addressing the speculations, Augustine clarified that Project mBridge was not intended as a BRICS bridge. The Bank of International Settlements stated essentially that, essentially mBridge was not supposed to be a BRICS bridge, was not supposed to be used by any sort of sanctioned countries, or a tool to undermine global sanctions. He explained that the platform is still in its development stages, but was built to streamline payment processes rather than to challenging existing financial structures, which is a complete load of BS. If you're building a payment system as the Bank of International Settlements, then that means you're going against SWIFT, a payment system that is also on your list too. So to come out and say, oh, we designed this platform, but we didn't intend for it to be a competitor. It's like a car manufacturer building the fastest car in the world. And then they go on a car channel and they say, well, we built the fastest car in the world, but we didn't intend to beat its competitors. Then why build the fastest car in the world? He further essentially stated that although mBridge has developed to a point where the Bank of International Settlements can step back, not leave it, just to point out, the Bank of International Settlements is not leaving mBridge. Once again, they're stepping back because it remains many years away, in their words, from operational readiness. This is why I say, I don't know if these people read what they're about to essentially say out loud in interviews. In one paragraph, the Bank of International Settlements general manager has said that the reason why they're stepping away from mBridge is because mBridge has graduated. If you're graduated, that means you're ready to embark on this massive future, is what graduation basically means, the simplest way. And then the other paragraph, they say, mBridge could, is many years away from operational readiness. So how can mBridge be ready for, how can mBridge graduate if it's still years away from readiness? Despite concluding its involvements in mBridge, the Bank of International Settlements continues to pursue broader digital finance initiatives, including its vision for Finternet. This essentially framework seeks to create an interconnected global financial system with improved accessibility, reduced transaction costs, and increased regulatory alignments. Augustine also described the Finternet as a resting of three main pillars: robust financial architecture, advanced technology, and solid regulatory foundations. The goal is to use tokenized assets and programmable money to automate and streamline transactions, providing a resilient infrastructure in an increasingly digital financial world. The Bank of International Settlements is also advancing Project Argo through its innovation hub. This initiative aims to essentially integrate tokenized central banks and commercial banks' money on unified ledgers, which could essentially address inefficiencies in cross-border payments. By focusing on interoperability and regulatory essentially maneuvers, Project Argo highlights the Bank of International Settlements' belief that while technology is critical and sustainable, reforming global finance requires a foundational structure aligning with public and private sector goals. Augustine reiterated the Bank of International Settlements' commitment to fostering compliance and security in its projects. While the Bank of International Settlements continues to support innovative financial tools, Augustine noted that the true future of finance is about reshaping systems to meet the needs of the digital-first world, where central and commercial banks collaborate to provide accessible and secure financial solutions. Now, that is what essentially was said by the Bank of International Settlements general manager today, where him mentioning the words that mBridge, the reason why they're stepping back, not leaving, but stepping back, is because mBridge has graduated. That means that Russia can now join mBridge because the Bank of International Settlements has stepped back, which means also that mBridge is ready, which means we're also going to 2025 with the year of extreme regulations and policies and presidential changes and SEC chairman changes and so on, and a lot of geopolitical tensions, but a lot of things are happening. By the end of this year, by the end of 2024, a lot of things will have happened. And because of the geopolitical tensions, because of the presidency, because of the rate cuts, and because of the Bank of International Settlements, mBridge, and BRICS, too many things are happening this year towards the end. And you know what? And the funniest part is, Russia said this year that the Russian ruble CBDC is going to be launching next year. Russia mentioned multiple times that the Russian ruble CBDC is going to be launching in 2025. mBridge has graduated. The Bank of International Settlements is stepping back. Russia CBDC is coming 2005. Bank of International Settlements, ironically, at this moment in time, steps back. mBridge graduates. Russia can join it, 2025 launch. Very, very coordinated is what I would say. Now, moving away from the Bank of International Settlements coordinated movement to step back to Stellar, XLM, a crypto project that is incredible, that everybody should look into Stellar and XLM. And their movements, their partnerships, their licensings, everything's great about them. And they've never had downtime as well, unlike some cryptocurrencies inside the crypto space. But what we're going to talk about next is Stellar, and it's a perspective from the CEO of Stellar, XLM. But before we go through that, let's go inside the comment section. Once again, this is a live, which means if you do have any questions, don't be shy, put it down inside the comment section. I'm more than happy to answer any questions you may have. Now, let's see what's going on here. Is definitely. Is Polkadot a dead project in your opinion? It sure as hell hasn't been doing any good for some quite time now. Is Polkadot a dead project? I wouldn't say it's a dead project. I would say it's a project that's waiting for regulations and policies. A lot of crypto projects right now are waiting for the regulations and policies to come in. So they're not dead projects. It's just they're stifled. They can't grow unless there's regulations and policies in place. That's just what's happening to a lot of crypto projects. A lot of crypto projects have a lot of licensings, a lot of partnerships, a lot of contracts. Some of them are in deep developments. But because of the regulations and the policies, they aren't able to breathe. So it's not is a dead project. Obviously, there are better projects than that. And that's not a dead project either. But there are better projects than that. But it's because they can't grow. They're being stifled right now, like the majority of the crypto space. Now, Stellar. Stellar Network set to revolutionize global payments with XLM. Jed, the co-founder of Stellar, recently revealed his vision for Stellar's system as a global funding service. He aims to make the foreign deposits affordable through Stellar's currencies. XLM. Jed believes his platform could transform how people send money internationally. So the founder, essentially the co-founder of Stellar, did an interview where he talked about the prospering future that Stellar is going to be having, XLM is going to be having in the years to come. And he laid out some sort of a plan and revealed to people essentially on that interview what's going to be going on. So this is what it is. So Jed believes his platform could transform how people send money internationally, bringing financial access to millions around the world. This vision is essentially drawing interest as demand for cheap, accessible billing options continue to grow. Stellar, established in 2014, aims to make exchanges easy and affordable across borders. While Venmo focuses on payments within the United States, its target is global economies. It's designed to reach communities with limited financial services. Aiming to provide people with reasonable payment options, its platform aims to support creating, trading, and sending essentially digital assets, making it flexible for useful and different essentially needs. The reason why the CEO of XLM, essentially the co-founder of XLM, brought out Venmo is because he's aiming to make Stellar, XLM, Venmo. Stellar offers interoperability, which allows to work with traditional banks and digital currencies. This ability makes Stellar a bridge between different financial systems. Hence, it could become a crucial solution for those who need fast and affordable electronic transactions. The company's unique design focuses on reaching international markets and those essentially underserved by traditional finances. The platform's interoperability allows it to handle different types of assets, from fiat currencies to digital coins. Besides providing inexpensive settlements, Stellar's structure also supports businesses and startups, making it a broad financial solution. So in the eyes of the essentially Stellar's co-founder, XLM is aiming to become Venmo, where it's a payment platform, like an application, which anybody can download somewhere down the future, which anybody can download and start making payments, digital payments around the world. And XLM will essentially be a backbone of that payment infrastructure. Now, moving away from the founder of XLM's essentially future ideas for what XLM is going to become, which is great. XLM was always going to be a project for the retail section rather than institutional section, which makes sense why XLM is visioning that a Venmo type of feature for XLM is on the way. We're going to talk about essentially Telegram, Swiss banks, and SafePal next. But before we go through that, let's go inside the comment section first. Once again, this is a live, which means if you have any questions, don't be shy, put it outside the comment section. Be happy to answer any questions you may have. If mBridge isn't with Ripple, but with BRICS companies, but Russia's central bank uses Ripple XRP, how? Well, mainly because XRP is a decentralized project, which means any country can use it, sanctioned or not sanctioned. So, Kamal, you've got to go back to basics on essentially you're going to go back to basics and remember, which is a great question as well Kamal has asked, because some people might genuinely want to know the answer to that. Kamal's question, if mBridge isn't with Ripple, but for BRICS companies, but Russia central banks use Ripple's XRP, how? It is revealed that Russian banks, in terms of their PDF documentations that were revealed, the central banks of Russia are actually using XRP on their payment trials. It's factual information is on PDF documentations from Russian banks. And he's saying essentially that if mBridge isn't with Ripple, but with the BRICS companies, then how? Well, it's mainly because XRP ledger is decentralized, which means anybody can use it, which means any centralized bank, sanctioned or not sanctioned, can use it. So that is why. It's because it's a decentralized platform, unlike Swift. The biggest downfall to Swift is not decentralized. It gets to pick and choose who it wants to work with and when it wants to stop working. XRP Ledger is decentralized, which means if you even are a sanctioned country, you can still use it. Now, SafePal is what we're going to talk about next. SafePal brings crypto integration to Telegram with Swiss bank supports. Telegram's application is incredibly going very fast, actually, to be fairly honest. And Ton's ecosystem is going to get even bigger. And Swiss bank support with Telegram, that's new. SafePal, a platform recognized for its secure wallets, is taking a major step by launching an application integrated with Telegram, one of the most popular messaging services in the world. This launch responds to a growing demand for accessible crypto payment solutions that meets international security standards. With this new offering, SafePal enables the use of crypto wallets, but also open access to Swiss crypto-friendly banking accounts, directly integrated into Telegram. Ton's ecosystem is going to become massive as long as this stifling situation goes away. But Swiss banks now getting involved with Telegram through SafePal. SafePal partners with Telegram to offer a unique service, a Swiss crypto-friendly bank account directly integrated into the messaging app. Indeed, SafePal announced this launch with a clear ambition to make decentralized finance more accessible, safer, and simpler for everyone. This strict partnership with Telegram relies on collaboration with Fiat24, a regulated Swiss provider, which ensures that the opening and management of essentially accounts comply with the security standards established by the FINMA. Thus, and offers an identity verification KYC service that meets the regulatory requirements, aiming to enable and essentially secure a transparent experience for their users. This wallet integrated into Telegram also meets the demands for smooth crypto transactions, enhanced by the options of crypto Visa cards. Users can now safely transfer and spend their cryptos as they would with traditional currencies, thus eliminating the barriers between crypto and fiat. By combining these features with Swiss bank accounts, SafePal, and Telegram, crypto adoption making these essentially decentralized financial tools more accessible to the general public. So sooner or later, now we do know for a fact that Telegram is going to become an everything app. But this is interesting because sooner or later, Telegram is going to be having Visa capabilities, Visa, MasterCard bank accounts. SafePal does not only offer essentially a simple wallet, but introduces a CDFI, a centralized, decentralized finance model, a hybrid concept that mixes centralized and decentralized finance together. This model allows SafePal to guarantee reliable management and ensure accessibility and decentralization inherent to cryptos. Thanks to this approach, SafePal enables users to perform secure transactions without giving up their autonomy. SafePal stated, "We are committed to building a bridge between traditional financial world and the decentralized universe of crypto." This CDFI integration thus offers a balance that meets compliance requirements while granting users a certain degree of freedom, aiming to bridge the gap between these two worlds. Looking ahead, SafePal plans to extend its wallets to over 100 blockchains and intends to expand its services in Europe and the Asian Pacific regions as well. This expansion could attract more users to Telegram, making this app an essential reference for managing cryptos. Through essentially the use of cryptos via Visa cards and SafePals and Telegrams are transforming landscape of digital finance and paving the way for daily use of crypto in practical contexts. This evolution suggests a future where decentralized finance could become as common as traditional banking services. There's a weird person inside the conversation. So, Swiss banks, Telegram, and SafePal are coming together. Somewhere down the line, Telegram is obviously trying to become an everything app, which is getting close to that target, to be fairly honest. But somewhere down the line, you're going to be having some sort of bank accounts in Telegram as well, if these capabilities continue forward. So imagine you open up your Telegram app for your banking services also, not just messaging people or doing video calls or calling someone, which is absolutely amazing. And this is excellent news for Ton's growth. This is going to, one, bring more eyes on Telegram, and two, it's going to help Ton's growth in the process. Now, moving away essentially from Telegram, Swiss banks essentially, and SafePal, to Ripple. Good morning, M. Good morning, Miles, and the CMF. What a typo. Ghost Burner, good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been? So Ripple's CEO is what we're going to talk about next. Ripple's CEO on X, institutional interest stays high. It's true. Right now, institutional interest is incredibly high. Even though we've had a one single day zero inflow on Bitcoin ETFs. For BlackRock, that's only because of the Kamala Harris situation, Donald Trump situation, where Kamala Harris, for some oddly reason, got 4 points plus above essentially Trump in the poly market space. But Ripple's CEO on XRP, institutional interest is staying high. The Ripple CEO wrote in a response to a recent milestone mentioned in Ripple's most recent quarterly report. Ripple's quarterly report came out, the quarter 3 reports came out, and they talked about how essentially Ripple's movements inside the market space, the licenses, the operations, what countries they work with, and more. The message from the market is clear. So this is apart from that report. The message from the market is clear. Institutional interest in XRP products is stronger than ever. Bitwise, Canary, and 21 Shares have all filed an S1 for XRP ETFs, while Grayscale launched an XRP trust and filed to convert its multi-asset fund, including XRP, into an ETF, which is all factual information. If any company applies for any sort of crypto ETFs, that means their high-profile clients have a lot of interest in that particular asset. Otherwise, they will launch it. Which also, essentially is a slap in the face for everybody inside the crypto space who claims that institutions or institutional investors are not interested in XRP. Because if institutional investors are not interested in XRP, then there wouldn't be so many XRP ETF filings. That was an indication that there is institutional interest in XRP. That's what the indication is. ETFs are important access for investors, particularly institutions, to obtain exposure to digital assets. They are essentially maturation step to any sort of market space, including essentially the crypto, since they provide legitimacy and confidence, which attract more traditional financial companies into the fields and drive a wider acceptance of cryptocurrencies. In the quarter 3 reports, in Ripple's reports, it was highlighted recently that The CME established an XRP reference price in the Q3, and Bittermore essentially stated that its intentions to launch an XRP futures products. Bitwise and Canary and 21 shares submitted their S1s for XRP ETFs, while Grayscale was establishing the XRP Trust, filled to convert its digital large cap funds, which includes Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, XRP, and AVAX into an ETF. And these recent filings represent a watershed moment, is what the Ripple CEO said, highlighting institutional interest and demand for XRP's products. While it remains one of the top 10 assets by market capitalization, despite the SEC's continuous onslaught on the crypto markets, institutional interest in XRP's investments and products continued on positive trajectories. This, the Ripple CEO highlighted in his tweet. The SEC's war on crypto has lost battle after battle, which is also true, which a lot of people still inside the crypto space claim that Ripple lost against the SEC. And in reality, as I've said many times, winners don't appeal cases, losers do. They continue to discard essentially for the court's authority will further essentially erode the SEC's credibility and reputation. The court's decision in the SEC cases against Ripple affirming that XRP is not in and essentially of itself a security has provided much needed clarity, allowing US exchanges to relist XRP and global exchanges to correctly list it on their platforms. This regulatory clarity has further bolstered institutional confidence in XRP. Till this day, there's still a lot of people inside the crypto community who will still claim that XRP is a security. In the crypto space, crypto influencers, not everyone, but some of them still do claim till this day that XRP is a security. Well, according to the exchanges that relisted XRP, it's not. So according to the exchanges, XRP is not a security. And according to the filings for their ETFs, it's not a security either. But people inside the crypto space, especially the crypto influencers, and once again, not every crypto influencer, but a lot of crypto influencers do claim still to this day that XRP is a security. Well, according to the exchanges like Coinbase and so on that relisted XRP, it's not a security. So who's in the right? Is it the crypto influencers that are claiming XRP is a security? And those crypto influencers have no background in any sort of economy basis, the corporate sector, or any sort of licensings in the financial sector? Or is the exchanges that have relisted XRP saying, well, it's not a security according to the court documents? Are they correct? Or is the crypto influencer correct? Anybody with any sort of common sense, it's the crypto companies, not the influencer morons. And again, not every single influencer has stated that comment, but I saw a few still till this day commenting it's a security, and in reality it's not. Now, we've also, I know it's short timings, we've also actually reached towards the endings of the live as well. So if anybody's got any sort of questions, go for it. Right now is the perfect time. We've also reached the endings of tonight's live as well. But I'm more than willing to answer any sort of questions. If anybody has any sort of questions, go for it right now. And I know we're ending a little bit short, and it's only because it was a very extremely busy day today. So apologies, everyone. But if anybody's not got any sort of questions they want answered right now, then we have reached the endings of tonight's live. When I read the Ripple news, it's pretty much an indication of reaching the end. Correspondent, good to see you. How you doing? Now, if you joined in this live late and you don't know what it is, my name is Miles. I go with Persona Crypto Miles, and this is the CMF live show. It stands for Crypto Miles Family. And every day you can tune into this live where I talk about the most recent news that's happening around the world in terms of cryptocurrencies, CBDCs, AI, politics, and regulations. And on tonight's live, we talked about essentially Ripple's CEO talking about essentially the XRP movements in the Q3 reports. We also covered news on the matters of SafePal bringing essentially crypto integration to Telegram through Swiss bank accounts. We also talked about the founder of Stellar Network essentially talking about how XLM is going to be revolutionizing everything. We also talked about on tonight's live regarding the matters of the Bank of International Settlements and how they claim mBridge has graduated. We also went for the news topic on tonight's live regarding how Iran and Israel might be going at it with each other, and a full-blown war is actually about to start because the leader of Iran has actually green-lighted this war. We also talked about how Solana is attracting investors, and a lot of US investors, because they claim that institutional investors might be going for that particular asset. And we also talked about on tonight's live regarding Coinbase essentially requesting documents from the FDIC. And the FDIC showed many documents that they have been stifling banks inside the United States. And we've also talked about on tonight's live regarding the micro factors in Canada and the US. We also talked about on tonight's live regarding the matters of BlackRock and their inflows. So that is all the news topics we covered on tonight's live. And if you enjoyed this live, drop a follow, drop a like. If you watch this for the first time ever and you watch this on YouTube, subscribe if you already haven't. If you watch this on X, follow, like, retweet if you already haven't. Put a comment outside live as well. And once again, if anybody does have any sort of last minute questions they want answers to, go for it right now inside the comment section. Let's see what's going on. Miles, shall we put some money out? Shall we pull some of our money out? If you want to, not financial advice in any sort of a way, but if the Iran-Israel situation happens, which is being green-lighted by Iran's side, so if this war happens, then market turbulence is definitely on the way. So if you want to pull out, maybe to go back in, sure. Not financial advice in any sort of a way. I would suggest entering with fresh money rather than pulling out. But not financial advice in any sort of way. And the disclaimer of this live show, as always, is not financial advice, not political advice, and whatever I say is only for entertainment purposes. You watch this for the first time ever as well. Thanks, Miles, for your time. Good night, CMF. See you tomorrow. Often see you tomorrow, sometimes usually as well. Miles, we need guidance right now, brother. I'm gonna pull most of my money out of the crypto for now. You want to pull some money out of crypto now? If you want to do that, look, personally, I'll tell you what I'm doing right now. I'm personally not going to be pulling my money out. I know that there's going to be a full-on war happening and the market is going to go through turbulence. What I am going to do is re-enter the market with fresh money. The reason why I won't pull out of my positions is because it's too manipulated right now, okay? The market space is too manipulated. So let me just tell you why I'm not going to be pulling out my positions. It's too manipulated. On one side, you have Wall Street who wants to go head first inside the market space. On the other side, we have a geopolitical tension going on. On one side, we have Trump that could become the next president of the United States and the market could go thriving upwards. On the other side, we have a full-blown war on the way. On one side, we have rate cuts on the way. On the other side, you see where I'm going with this? There is too much happening right now and too much uncertainty. And I've said this many times. Essentially, whenever you are in doubt, 1 foot in, 1 foot out is always the best scenario. Don't sit on the sidelines is what I would say. Don't sit on the sidelines. 1 foot in, 1 foot out is always the best scenario. Because yes, there is geopolitical tensions, but on the other side, we also have maybe Trump victory, which means the market goes on the upside. Yes, again, there is geopolitical tensions, but on the other side, we still have essentially rate cuts on the way. So there's positive and a negative on both sides right now, and it's all headbutting. There's positive forces and there's essentially negative scenarios going on right now at the exact same time. So that is why I won't be pulling out my positions, because it's too manipulated right now. Good night, Miles and family. Great live. Many thanks. See you tomorrow. Get some well-earned rest, brother. Let's go. Ian, see you tomorrow, brother, same time as usual. Have a lovely night, Miles and CMF. Lena, let's go. See you tomorrow, same time as usual as well. I don't have any fresh money right now. I'm just so confused. Okay. That's why. Look, if you want to pull, I wouldn't say pulling out is not the best scenario right now. It's too manipulated right now. Pulling out is not the best scenario. Because here's your percentage-wise. If you pull out of the market space and the market starts climbing in value because Trump is the next president of the United States, you've pulled out your... Imagine for a second, this war doesn't happen. Consider that fact as well, because the war has only been confirmed from one side. Iran is the one that's confirmed a full war. Israel hasn't confirmed a full war. So imagine the war doesn't happen and Trump wins and the market goes up and you pulled out. So what I would say is it's too manipulated right now. Don't pull out. Not financial advice in any sort of a way. But imagine if this war doesn't happen and it goes the other way and Trump wins. You've pulled out, Trump wins, market goes up, you're left behind. It's too manipulated, it's too corrupted right now. Best scenario is to stay in the market space. Not financial advice in any sort of a way, but consider every outcome so you don't get surprised when the market plays out. Miles, if Trump Brilliant live as usual, Miles. Night night, everyone. Joe, see you tomorrow sometimes usual as well. Miles, if Trump wins, all of the wars cease soon after he takes over in January. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Consider all factors. If I pull, and that's also why Iran and Israel's war might be starting earlier on, but we don't know. So let's just see, because one side has confirmed, the leader of Iran has confirmed this war as a green light. Other side, Israel is very silent right now. If they don't, essentially say the same thing. Miles of here. If I pull out, I will go shopping and use all of it. So don't pull out. Let's go, Lena. But yeah, don't pull out. I'm not pulling out. Good night, brother Miles. Thank you, brother. See you tomorrow sometime as usual as well. Thanks, Miles. Good night, everyone. Go spend it. See you tomorrow sometime as usual as well. Then you end up rebuying at a higher price, less tokens. Exactly. Don't pull out. Do not panic. Never panic. Keep your emotions outside the market space. They're shaking the bush, the Bush's boss. Yeah, basically. Don't let your emotions control your actions inside the market space. You will regret it. If you ever act on emotions inside the crypto space, you will definitely regret it. So we've reached the endings of tonight's live. If you drop a like, drop a follow if you're watching this on YouTube, drop a like, drop a follow, and a retweet if you watch this on X. See you tomorrow, same time as usual. Everybody have a great day or a great night.